and especially that spiritual nature of his life. We go back to Mary and Martha. We've talked about them a number of times. Even here we see that example. Martha doing the work. She's in there working, while Mary's right there at the feet of Jesus in their very house. John Maxwell was talking about that one time. This is what he said in response to what was happening there. He said, some people are overcommitted to the work of the Lord and undercommitted to the Lord and the work. Now listen to that. Some people are overcommitted to the work of the Lord and undercommitted to the Lord and the work. In other words, when we try to work for the Lord without spending time in our worship with God, we become spiritually empty. We become spiritually empty. And the working is great and we need to do it. But we can't neglect that spiritual side of what we do. You know, that's a beginning point. That's a priority of who we are and what we do as a church and in our lives, in all the aspects of our lives. And so it's understanding some of these dynamics going on here, looking at this scripture and what's happening here. Understanding sometimes there's wrong priorities, sometimes, you know, that those things happen, and sometimes there's wrong attitudes. Wrong attitudes. Sometimes we carry baggage and seeds that are deep down inside of us that turn our hearts into bitterness. In Hebrews chapter 12:15, it says, be alert, lest any root of bitterness spring up and cause trouble. Because of that, many have become defiled. There's that deep-rooted seed that sometimes when you run into failure and discouragement, we can become very bitter. And that's what this talks about. That bitterness from that root that's deep down inside that springs up, and then we become ineffective for God. We become ineffective for God. But there's some good news about that. It becomes an attitude and a choice. I hope you noticed the cover of the bulletin this morning. It says, your failures do not define you. Or your failures do not define you. It goes beyond just the failures. But how do we deal with those failures? What's our attitude? What do we choose when it comes to those failures and those issues that we face in life? How do we confront them? Notice what Elijah did. He cut that stick, that piece of wood, and he threw it in the river. And that iron axe floated to the top. It floated. What did he do? He took the wood of that tree. And I think that applies also to the wood of that cross on which Jesus died. Applying the wood of that cross to those times in our lives when we experience failure. And I think that's important for us to consider and to do. He cut it off, he threw it in, and that cross represents that very stick in our lives when it comes to those failures. There's a song we'll probably sing when it comes to the Lent season, In the Cross of Christ I Glory. There's one part of that song that really applies to this. And when you sing that song, think of this verse when it talks about the cross towering over the wrecks of time. W-R-E-C-K-S. We sing that, but do we really think about what it says? The cross towering over the wrecks of time. Imagine a junkyard full of old, rusty, beaten up, falling apart cars. And the cross towering over even that. The cross towering over the wrecks of time. Towering over our wrecks emotionally. And our physical wrecks, and our spiritual wrecks, and our personal wrecks, and our financial wrecks, and whatever it might be. But taking those things and applying the cross over the wrecks of our lives. And the power that that has in facing those and dealing with them. That's what God does. He brings healing and strength through his cross and through that work of the cross. Because that's what it's all about. That cross is about forgiveness. It's about renewal. It's about strengthening and continuing and reconnecting with God himself in our lives. And that's our beginning point. And when that happens, God does something. I mean, there was a miracle there. That iron axe head floated to the top. God does something in our lives, and God begins to work in our lives and make something great even out of the failures. You look at the people of the Bible. I was thinking about Abraham. Moses and David and even Peter and Paul. They did great things for God. I mean, Abraham, he was a friend of God, and Jacob was like a prince. And then Moses, I mean, he spoke to God face to face. David, he was a man after God's own heart. Peter, Jesus loved him so much, he said, I'm going to give you the keys of heaven on earth. Paul, he was God's instrument. Those individuals did great things for God. They were used greatly by God. But guess what? They were also failures. They failed miserably when you stop to think about it. My gosh, Abraham, I mean, he lied about his life. Jacob, he was a con man. Very deceitful. Moses, he killed an Egyptian. David, he committed adultery and murder. Peter denied the Lord 3 times when he needed that support the most. Paul, he was throwing people into prison. He wanted them killed. But yet they did great things for God. It's kind of like King Saul and King David. King Saul, and David, what a story that was. They both failed God. And yet, Saul's life ended in disgrace and suicide. David ended up becoming known as the greatest king of Israel. I mean, my gosh, Saul, his problem was jealousy and pride. David, my goodness, he committed adultery, and he had the Hittite Uriah murdered. But what was the difference? The choice that they made and how they responded to it. Saul walked in disgrace. David turned to God for forgiveness and strength and healing. And God was there. See, it wasn't the problem. It was how they responded to it. It was their response to it. And all they had to do is reach out and grasp that power. It's like Elijah with that axe. He didn't reach out and take it for this prophet. He said, you reach in and you take it. You take hold of it. And you take ownership of it. And you let the power of God work in your life. You see, it's not a question, have I failed? We've all failed at times. You look around at the people sitting next to you, and at some point in their lives, they failed. That's not the question. The real question is, am I going to choose to continue in that course? What do I choose to do? Am I going to wallow in that failure? Am I going to feel sorry for myself? Am I going to turn tragedy into triumph? Am I going to turn tragedy into triumph? Am I going to pick up that power that God has in my life and turn it into victory? You see, the tragedy of our life isn't the tragedy or the failure, but it's how we respond to it. It's how we respond to it. Again, it's not what happens to us, what happens in us is the key. Applying the cross to the root of the issue, the problem, the difficulty, and turning it from tragedy into triumph. That's the key. Applying the cross to those times in our lives that we experience those things and letting His power be ours. I want you to bow your heads with me this morning. And as we do, I want to take a moment and I just want to read the words from a song entitled Something Beautiful. The words read, something beautiful, something good. All my confusion He understood. All I had to offer Him was brokenness and strife, but He made something beautiful of my life. If there ever were dreams that were lofty and noble, they were my dreams at the start, and hope for life's best were the hopes that I harbor deep down in my heart. But my dreams turned to ashes and my castles all crumbled. My fortune turned to loss. So I wrapped it all